Talented Learning Executive Briefing Series. This is my favorite series of content at Talented Learning because we get to go around the world virtually and meet the world's best learning systems vendors, learning system solutions. And today is no different. We're here today with the founder and CEO of Training Orchestra, Stefan Pinot, and we're going to learn all about the organization, what it is they do, their business focus, differentiators, and we're even going to see a great demonstration that brings it all to life. And so thanks for joining us again, audience. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Stefan.
Thank you so much, John, for this great introduction. So I'm happy to be here today with you. So yes, let's talk a little bit about Training Orchestra. And first of all, we wanted to position Training Orchestra because we're a training resource management system, a software to manage training operation. So we just wanted to say a few words first about Training Orchestra and move to a demonstration demonstrating the value Training Orchestra could bring to your training organization. So Training Orchestra is an award-winning training resource management system. It's more than 20 years that we're in this business, and we have more than 600 clients in more than 20 countries globally. And we manage every year more than $6 billion of training, be it for external enterprise, L&D departments, training companies or associations, and we're here to transform the way instructor-led training is managed. You know, instructor-led training is still more than 70% of the training investment, so it's still big, and we're here to help you with that, while the LMS is helping you managing e-learning and the learner. So what we see when we focus on the external enterprise or for-profit or not for-profit training organizations, so those managing, you know, client training, partner training, or even employee training, is that they have a strong financial pressure. They have to do more and better with less. They are still doing a lot of ILT, VILT, or hybrid classes, but this is still managed as of today. Even if our clients always have one of the very best learning management systems, this is still managed with a patchwork of system. We're seeing more than 5 or 6 systems usually. So it could be a CRM, it could be an ERP, it could be an LMS, it could be a virtual classrooms, it could be a lot also of XLS spreadsheets and Outlook that are used, and it creates a lot of inefficiencies and silos. So we at Training Orchestra, we provide a software which is designed to manage training as a business, and the system is focused on instructor-led training. When I say instructor-led training, it means instructor-led training, virtual instructor-led training, or hybrid classrooms, meaning a mix of instructor and virtual instructor-led training. But we're here to help you optimizing the scheduling of the session, making the most of your resource, and the strategic resource may be the trainers, it may be the rooms, the virtual classrooms, or any equipments that you use to train your clients, partners, employees, distributors. But also improving financial performance. So reducing the cost, increasing the profitability or the financial performances, and increasing the productivity, while we're at the same time trying to ease instructor collaboration. You usually have a lot of subject matter experts that may be internal or external subject matter experts, sometimes some full-time dedicated instructor, and most of the times we're seeing training organization using a lot of email, phone call, and manual operation to engage the instructors and collaborate with the instructor. So as a positioning, Training Orchestra is really positioned as a training management system. And so we're not an LMS. The LMS focus on e-learning and the learner, while we focus on instructor-led training. So we complement each other. We do not overlap with what the LMS is doing. So at core, Training Orchestra is a scheduling system. So the idea is to manage any kind of training resources. As I say, it could be trainer, internal, external, subject matter experts or not. It could be a virtual classroom. It could be any kind of equipment. So making the most of your resources, optimize the resource use. Also, we can manage any kind of product offering, be it private courses or public courses, because the process may be completely different when you organize public or open classes. First, you schedule, then you take order. When you organize a private class for one client at a time, Some call that on-site, but when we organize a private class, first we take an order, then we schedule the session. So even if at the end you try to optimize the resource use and you still have to schedule classes session, the way we manage those different products is absolutely different. And we're here also to optimize the financial performance. So some may charge back. There are clients, partners, distributors. Some may not charge back, and if they do not charge back, they will have to manage the cost and control their training investment. The idea is really here to optimize financial performances. And even for an association, a not-for-profit association, it's important to know also where you are, how much it costs to you to organize such a session, and if ever you generate revenues, even if you're not for profit, see where you are. You know, are you losing money or not on this particular session? And also, we're able to provide a single solution for all the audiences. You know, so one single system. And there is no workaround for that. You know, it's really one system designed to manage at the same times partners and employees. So really what is important is that we are able to provide, it's really also unique, a single solution to manage any kind of audience. It could be, again, partners, clients, distributors, members for membership association, or employees on the exact same system. So the training management system is at the core of the learning stack. So LMS is still very important. LMS is more now positioned as a middleware because the user experience usually will happen in the LXP, the learning experience platform or learning engagement platform, which is positioned more as a front end. We at Training Orchestra, we are more positioned as a back office system with a mission to manage instructor-led training. So be it hybrid, ILT or VILT. So we manage all of them. So there are some specific challenges that our client will have and that we tend to address in the new today, because, you know, in the past 18 months or more, we had obviously a lot of changes. So first of all, to be a successful organization, you need not only today to train your employees, but you need to train the entire ecosystem. So you need to upskill and reskill the entire ecosystem, which means that we can provide at Training Orchestra, because the goal is to insist here a little bit on the differentiator, a single solution to serve any audience. If you just want to serve partners, clients, distributors, you can do it in Training Orchestra. But on the top of that, if ever you also want to manage in the same instance your employees, and if ever you want to collaborate, because sometimes you can have mixed session where you mix partners, clients, distributors, and employees in the same session, it's also possible. So a single solution to serve any audience. Second subject, there is a war on talent. Everybody knows that. There is a competition now. It's difficult to find the best, well, it's very difficult when you need to recruit, but it's also very difficult when you need to find the best talented instructors. So those best talented instructors may be subject matter experts. So how can you map, you know, their expertise? Do they speak Spanish? Do they have the ability to teach on this specific course? So you can map their skills, you can interact in real time in order to win the war on talented instructors. So it's just not winning the talent on winning the war on talent to recruit people, but also winning the war on talent to find the best available instructor. Because when you're trained by the best, it makes a big difference. So that's what we serve too, but also you have your own resources. So it may be a group of full-time dedicated instructors, it may be any equipment, rooms, virtual classroom, and you have that as a cost. So making the most of this resource utilization, making the most of the resources utilization is critical, and Training Orchestra is here to help you making the most. You know, some of our clients will ask us to, just as an example, when they have a full-time dedicated instructor, to move from 65% to 85% of resource use of their instructor. Four, you have to manage this strong financial pressure, and you can manage what you can measure. So being able to provide real-time indicators about the profitability, and we will show you that, of your activity, even if you're not for profit, showing you what it costs to organize the different sessions that you have is core. And as soon as you can measure, you then are able to manage. Should I cancel the session that are not profitable? Should I postpone? What is the cost of running hybrid session? Because everybody is asking the question now that we're in a new hybrid world. Again, hybrid is when you have in-person classroom plus a virtual instructor-led classroom. So you need more resources. You need a trainer, a producer, a virtual classroom plus an in-person classroom, and that's what's happening in the new today or new tomorrow. What will be the impact on the cost? You know, do you need to have additional extra budget for that? Training Orchestra can track all that and give you visibility over the forecast and your budget. And there is also a big complexification. Moving from VILT, which is today's situation, to hybrid classes, so a mix of ILT and VILT, because it's not only that it requires more resources like trainers plus a producer plus a virtual classroom plus a room, but you cannot have during 3 days in a row someone in front of a Zoom. So that's why, you know, we're seeing our clients organizing a session on non-consecutive days. Instead of having the 3 days in a row, we have the 6 half-day sequences. So a lot of complexification. And you remember, as we said at the beginning, all that is managed in a patchwork of system and in Excel spreadsheet and Outlook. So it was really difficult to manage training operation. It has become impossible, but what can we do, you know, to help you managing all those training operation? Again, as an overview, the situation is that ILT and VILT is today managed manually with Excel spreadsheet and Outlook. You know that very well. If I ask you, okay, well, can you show me the agenda of the instructor? You would open probably an Outlook. Can you show me the occupancy rate of the different instructor? You would open some spreadsheets, and it creates silos and inefficiencies. So it's still managed in Excel spreadsheet and Outlook. In the top of that, there is a patchwork of multiple systems. Most of the time, we're seeing, oh, I have an LMS for my internal audience and another LMS for my external audience. So that's okay if it's two separate organizations, but sometimes you need to mix some population, and it's then going to be a challenge. And when you need to collaborate with instructor, you're using a lot of email and phone call. So it was what was happening even before the COVID, but in the new today, we need more resources, as we said. So, you know, more trainer, virtual and trainer and producer, a virtual classroom plus a classroom. There is more complexity. I was giving the example of the session organized on non-consecutive days, because you cannot have someone 3 days in a row in the same session. We have more and more system, and now the virtual classroom system that are not fully integrated with the other system. You know that have to be also managed on the top of all the other system that you were already managing, and you have more people to train, because due to the pandemic situation, people have been remote. Sometimes you have onboarding new partners, clients, distributors remotely, but they want to meet in person, and this is good for business. So we're seeing, you know, a lot more session organized. You know, we manage $6 billion of training, and our clients are using Training Orchestra to schedule in advance, and we're seeing that for the months to come. Not that they schedule everything, that they're organizing more session classes than ever. So more people to train, and more instructor-led training. So it was difficult. It's becoming impossible. So how can we help with that? The training management system plays an important role, because we can automate and optimize the way you manage instructor-led training, virtual instructor-led training, and hybrid session, and we can complement your tech stack. So we could say your learning tech stack or your tech stack, because you may use also a CRM, you may use an ERP and some other system. So we wanted to do a quick demonstration and overview of the value training orchestra can bring. Any question or any remark, John, at this step?
Just outstanding. You're the only person in the world, Stefan, that can make training resource management seem so exciting. Of all the pieces that's going around, that's really neat how you framed out the common challenges and that you see across your client base and the value that you bring. It's very well articulated, and I can see the exact or I do see the exact scenario all the time in the marketplace where the use of multiple systems and that multiple complexity, it just isn't handled by LMSs anymore. Maybe 20 years ago, they seem to be even stronger, but since LMSs went to the cloud, they have really slacked off the ability to do any of this. And so to bring not only the management, but the financial part of that together is insightful and innovative. I can't wait to see it. Show me.
Yeah, no, and let's see. Thank you for those feedback, and let's see if the demo is that exciting and the value that and if ever we can deliver the value that we promise. But it's absolutely true. It's 20 years that those large system have moved to e-learning, and they have really transformed learning operation. But during those 20 years, we were innovating in ILT and VILT.
Yeah.
It's just like shoes. Okay, it's probably millions of years that men are wearing shoes or try, but you can still do a lot of innovation, even if it used to be it's forever. Shoes exist forever, but you can still do a lot of innovation, and that's what we're doing at Training Orchestra. We innovate while some other are stuck in the 20th century because they have invested a lot in e-learning and building the best LMS or the best LXP. So I'm going to show you a quick demonstration of Training Orchestra. So I hope you can see my screen moving. So right now I'm connected as Nicolas. So let's say that Nicolas is in charge of training operation. And first of all, when we connect a user, we always define his role and scope. So for example, here, my role is to be in charge of the academy, because I can train not only external audience, but why not also some internal employees, and also I'm positioned as a scheduler. So I'm someone in charge of the back office, and when we connect a user, we always define his role and scope. And I can obviously have different role and different scope. So we can position someone in charge of North America, or someone just in charge of Canada, or someone just in charge of Quebec. So you can position someone at a good level of the organization, and depending of your role, you will have more or less feature. You can choose your currency. Right now, I'm based in the US. This accent is not from here, but I live in the US, so I'm working in USD, but it's doing in real time the conversion. If ever I'm consolidating euro or Canadian dollar, the conversion will be done in real time. So I may have visibility over my revenues, talking about the financial aspect and what I've done. Even if I'm for-profit or not for-profit, I may charge back some of my partners, clients, distributors. I will also have some alerts. I see here that I have 3 sessions in danger. A session is in danger, John, when you try to double book a resource, as an example. So you create a conflict on a trainer or rooms, virtual classrooms, but also when you have not yet assigned a resource and you need to have an instructor for a session happening next Monday, you've not done it, you're clearly at risk. So the core of the system is to be a scheduling system. That's why we offer different graphical view. One view which is very popular is named the training schedule, and in the training schedule we give visibility over all the classes that are scheduled. So we're seeing here as an example that I have this 3-day session that is organized. We make the difference between the session and the sequences, because we were saying that sequences may or may not be consecutive. It may be organized on some non-consecutive days. What is interesting here is that this entire view is fully configurable. I will come back on that, but it's also very easy to use. If ever you need to create a new session about data protection next week, I can just click and I'm done. That's it. Nothing else to do. You know, it will create the session. It will retrieve the good time zone. It will retrieve the location. I'm all set. You can see here it's a 2-day session, and if ever I start it on Friday, it may jump the weekend. So very easy to do. As you can see, and those who have the best LMS may know it takes 35 minutes or 40 minutes to just create. I'm not going to save it, to just create such a session. So that's clearly very easy to create a new session. Also, you can see some color coding. And a session that will be in pink, for example, is in a draft mode, while the session in blue is open to registration. So a session when a session is open to registration, you may want to send it to your website if ever it's a public session, or you may want it to send it to your learning management system if you have one. While when a session is in a draft mode, pink, like this one, you don't necessarily want to synchronize because it's not yet open to registration. Obviously, you may want to move a session from one day to another, what you can very easily do in Training Orchestra. And it will obviously, as soon as you move the session, update your learning management system. On the top of that, we offer a different graphical view. And one view which is also very popular because it's not only that you must schedule your session, but also that you want to assign some resource. So for that, we have a very popular view that is named the allocation schedule. And in the allocation schedule, the idea is really to find the best available resources. So I will see those 2 sessions here happening this week. This one is all green because we have assigned, it's a 3-day session organized on 3 consecutive days. We have assigned an expert in time management for this session, time management, it's all green. We have assigned a classroom. If it's on site, it's all green, we are all good. And you see that the session here happening Thursday and Friday is in orange. For one good reason is that we need to assign a data protection specialist, and we've not done it. So and that's why it's red. So what we can do is that we can just ask to the system to filter those who have the skills to train on that. Obviously, you can have multiple skills. I don't have a lot of choice here. I see that team would be the only one available, but maybe I really want to work with Elmer. So I can see here that Elmer is doing a new course design. So I can move this activity, if ever I really want to work with Elmer, I can move this activity to next week. Oops, if I click on the, I can move this activity to next week. And now that Elmer is available, I can just select and assign Elmer to this specific session. Look what's happening now. As soon as I assign this specific session, it's going to be in the agenda. It's turning green first, and second, it's going to be in the agenda of Elmer because you can send a calendar invitation. Now you see why Training Orchestra is a training resource management system, because we're here to assign training resources, find the best available trainer. That said, John, maybe that here the scenario maybe in the reality more complex, because maybe I need subject matter experts and I don't have access to his calendar. Here, it's an easy example. So what I can do directly, is launch a call for tender or call for trainer. And based on that, I will see, I will ask to a community, a targeted community of trainer, or to an entire group of trainer, if I don't know who have the skills to train on which subject, who could train, I don't know, mid-October in Miami and speak Spanish and is able to train on data protection. So, so I could very easily launch this call for trainer and call for tender. And I will show you that, because a big subject here is also how to engage the best available instructor, how to map who can do what. And the reality is sometimes I don't know. So I have to leave it open to the entire community. So as you can see, we can address clients having full-time dedicated instructors, and they know everything about their availability and so on. But we can also address clients with subject matter experts, and they need to interact with subject matter experts, better engage the subject matter experts. Something that is also very interesting is that as soon as we assign the resource automatically, so first of all, we will know, when and where it's happening. So we have the information on the left, but we will also retrieve all the costs. So be it the cost is per day, be it the cost is in multiple currency, it will calculate, okay, for example, the Zoom account has a cost per day, of $40, and here Elmer has a cost of $25 per hour. So Training Orchestra is doing the math automatically, and is doing the conversion, because if ever Elmer is based in Canada and has a cost in Canadian dollar, you'll see the conversion here, because we said at the beginning that we want to see everything in US dollar. So I don't want on the same page have a mix of euro, dollar, Canadian. It's doing the conversion for me, but you keep record of the real information that his cost is maybe 30 or 35 Canadian dollar. It's behind the scene, but we keep the information, so you don't have to do manually some calculations. In the financial tab, because it's not all about the cost, some will have a for-profit activity. Here, we have not yet sold anything, but you will see some example where we have sold, because we have just created the session and assigned, so it's possible to calculate the profitability of the training operation. So when we say profitability, it means what it costs to me based on the resource that have been assigned versus how much I've sold. You can just manage the cost if you want to track your cost, but you can manage cost, chargeback, and calculate automatically the profitability for both public, private session, because the way you calculate it may be completely different. It's two very different business models. Talking about the logistics, and I will show you some additional example about the profitability, because we have some color coding that we can configure where I will see all the sessions that are profitable or not. But on the top of that, it's very complex to manage ILT and VILT. And as it's very complex, that's why we have what we call the milestones. And in the milestones, it's really a task management system. So here is my control of my tower control, and I can see all the tasks that I have to do for my training orders or for my sessions, and have visibility over what I have to do or not. So if ever I'm not tracking one task in particular, I can display and focus only on the task that I have to do. For example, for one-on-one meeting, I have to send the instructor confirmation. It's orange means I have to do it. When it's green, it's done. When it's red, I'm already late. So the system will calculate for you when you have to do what and who has to do it, will alert you if it's done or not. But you are not forced to manage manually all that, because we really want to scale. So if, as an example, we want to batch send some document, we just go into the document management, we choose any document, and for example, instructor invitation, if ever we want to send all the instructor invitation, we just have to select to who we want to send all those calendar invitation. Is going directly into the calendar, all of them except this one. For some reason, we start the process, and in one click it will send you the 50 calendar invitation, 500 or 10,000, I don't know, calendar invitation. And your task will turn green. So the system will know, oh, you've sent the invitation to the instructor, you're good with that, and so all the tasks will turn green. So you can work as a team, and it can help managing the complexity of the training operations. On the top of that, we can generate some reporting. So you have pre-built reporting, and we have really best practice reporting. If we were talking about, John, how well we use the trainer as an example. So I can generate this reporting. It will extract an XLS spreadsheet, including all the information, and I can analyze, for example, how well I use my resource. I will see 80% of resource use in Austin versus 94% in New York. I can measure productive or non-productive activity, because obviously the trainer, they may facilitate session, but sometimes they're designing, they're upskilling, they're doing some consulting, they may have some other activity, so you can measure anything. But on the top of that, what is interesting is that you can create your own report without being an expert in business intelligence. So let's say if you want to create a reporting about your trainer, you need the name, you drag, drop. You need the cell phone, you drag, drop. You can sort it out, you can filter, and in the advanced option, you can decide to automate the production of the reporting first. And second, you can also decide to download your own template with a beautiful pie chart and bar chart. No need to have the best available reporting. No need to be an expert in BI. Everything is here and really easy to use. And you have access to a mapping of all the data that you will find in Training Orchestra. And all that is real time. You know, it's really, if ever you have done something 1 second ago, you know, you'll find the information that will be updated. So that's the way to create. And I was also talking about the trainer, you remember, and we have built an instructor engagement portal where you can collaborate with the instructor. But first, wanted to show you that we can scale too. So I wanted to go back and to show you how flexible is Training Orchestra, because here we were seeing, you know, this view, which is, you know, a weekly and monthly view. It's great, but you know, maybe I would prefer to see that not based on weekend day, but months and week. So that's something that I can absolutely do immediately from here. Maybe also in the settings, I'm not interested to see the different sequences. So I just want to see the session, and I would like to focus, instead of being focused on the status, I would prefer to, I don't know what are the sessions that are profitable or not. And I can configure also the different view, like for example, splitting per venue. If ever I want to split a view per venue, and maybe I want to have that in blue, but I can choose, you know, any color, you know, it can be really whatever you want. So here I will display, as you can see, so the session that are profitable or not, thanks to the color coding. So greens means that the session is profitable, and I will also have a zoom out where I will see more sessions. So again, I can drag drop very easily. This session here, time management, is profitable. I know it because it's green. And when I jump back, as we've done before, you will see the difference in the financial tab between what it cost to me. You remember the automated cost calculation versus oops, if I go in the financial tab, that's better, versus, so what it costs, total of expenditure, sold. And again, what I've sold, it may be public, private classes. Public is open classes, you know, I sell seats. Private is I'm scheduling something for one client, partners, distributors at a time. So you can really make the difference and control, even if you're not for profit, the profitability or the financial performance of your operation. But obviously, I was talking about scaling. You may want to organize the same session multiple times during the year, so you can just duplicate. And you know the complexity of creating a session. I showed you that we can create a class with everything you need in one click. But what if you want to create 10 or 3? You know, you just have here the duplication feature, and you can choose, you know, when it's happening. Very easy. Do you use the same trainer or not? You just have to click or not. Do you use or not the same resources? And just by choosing the venue, automatically, John, it will retrieve the good time zone. So if ever it's happening in New York, automatically it's going to be East Coast. If ever it's happening in LA, it's going to be Pacific time. So you don't have to do calculation. 9 a.m. Pacific time if it's happening in LA, 9 a.m. EST if it's happening in New York. All that is automated. So you don't have to do calculation. You don't have to you know, really it's here. We're a back office system, but we're here to ease your life. We're a back office system. We're here to provide the best system for those who are in charge of the training operation, but we can also communicate with the instructors. And I was taking two examples, and it's very different use case. Full-time dedicated instructors, so they may want to manage their activity, tell you that they are on PTO next week, but you also may want to manage the relation with a large group of subject matter experts. We work with some consulting firm. They have academies. That we have more than 600 clients all over the world. And they want to find who's the best available. They will launch a call for trainer or call for tender. So again, they can target a specific community or leave it open to the entire community of trainer if they really don't know. And me as a trainer, because I moved now to a trainer role, I can candidate, to all of them except this one, and I can, apply, and then, the person in charge of the scheduling will see, well, John and Stefan, they both candidate for being the trainer on this specific course. They will select the best. John, it's going to be you who will be in charge of doing this training. So it's really, a way to interact and better engage the trainer. They can also map themselves. Who knows, John, if you speak Spanish? Who knows if you can train on this specific course or that specific course, because in your previous life, you were doing such activity. So you can map your expertise. And on the top of that, as a trainer, you will have visibility over all the sessions that are scheduled, all the classes. For example, on this session here, team building, I can see if it's organized on consecutive or non-consecutive days. I will have all the detail about the logistics, where and when it's happening. I can access to the library of document. Here, we do not overlap with the LMS. The documents available are for the learner. But what about the document for the instructor? They may have some exercises. They have the answer to the exercise. They have the last version of the PowerPoint with some comments. And you can assign tasks to the instructor. So you have to tell them, okay, send me your expenses within a week after, not after. So they have a task, and those tasks can be, well, tasks that you assign for before or after the session. But they can go session per session, but they also have a view with all the tasks that have been assigned to them. So John, if ever you work as an instructor for someone using Training Orchestra, you will see all the tasks and what's your to-do list, what you have to do, and when, and you will have very comprehensive alerts. Wow. Because red, you let, orange, you have to do it now, and green, is not going to be anymore part of your list because it's done. So you can also assign very complex tasks, like, for example, I don't know, just very simple, like instructor confirmation, or more complex, like attendance checking, and you telling, well, this person, it was a no-show, this person does not attend, but on the top of that, we had additional extra participant, which is very important, because when you train your partners, clients, distributors, or employees, you want to know also who is trained. But I don't want to insist too much on the learner, because most of the time, Training Orchestra is positioned as a scheduling system, a resource management system. We manage both ILT, VILT, hybrid session, all, situation, ILT, VILT, and hybrid session, and, managing financial performances for both public open classes or closed virtual, closed private classroom, and we can manage multiple audience in the same system. It was to give you a little bit an overview, John, of the system and some innovation that we have done recently. Everything that you have seen today will be managed most of the time in Excel spreadsheet and Outlook, with phone call, email, and it creates silos. And that's the need and the pain point that we serve. We complement the LMS, we complement the learning stack, we complement your CRM, we complement your ERP. We do not overlap with those systems.
Outstanding. Love it. Just absolutely love it. Audience, you're with me here to for those of you that have been following along, we haven't seen anything like this in any of our executive briefings. This is complementary technology for sure to what we've been looking at, but just the depth of the reporting, the usefulness of the reporting to already have the dashboards and what you need to know all figured out for your learners is awesome. The instructor tools through at a macro level and for the individual instructor is really innovative. The task management is innovative. The task management in putting on a session. So Talented Learning, we put on a monthly webinar. There's probably 100 things we have to do from a task standpoint to do that every month, and we're managing it as a small company in Excel and in individual technologies. And so you can just imagine if you're doing hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands, how sophisticated that has to be to keep up with it. I love the scheduling of in a graphical way of just moving things around, building out a session. Audience for anybody that uses LMSs, that's probably Stefan probably hit it right on the head. What was it? Did you say 30 or 40 minutes to create a session? It's because you got to put in the code, and then you got to put in the days, and then you got to put in the description, and you have to go through all of these steps that if you can just automate it in 1 second and save that half hour. Once again, if you're doing 10 or 100 or tens of thousands of courses, I mean, that is a significant amount of time and cost and energy that an organization has to put on there. I love the idea about having so much attention on the skill management of the instructors themselves to get that baseline and be able to grow it, but then be able to search and narrow, based on those same criteria. Just to answer your question, hablo español un poquito. I like the way that you position it, and that in reality it's an augmentation or a complementary system. A question that I have for you as I discontinue my debrief here is what type of services do you provide to organizations to get this up and running? From my perspective, this looks great, but the practical guy in me thinks there's a lot of steps to get to what we're looking at right now, and I'm curious to see how you engage a new client and help them, I guess, get over the learning curve and get this into a place where it's in practical management. What are your thoughts on that, Stefan?
That's a great question. So we always offer two options to the client. One option is what we call a quick start methodology. So we deploy the client in a week or 2 weeks, even some very large clients, and so they are good to go. That's the first option. Basically, we train them, we set up the system, and they are good to go. The second option is more a workshop methodology, so it will take something like 2 to 3 months. In this workshop methodology, sometimes the client, all the process is built on Excel spreadsheet, on Outlook. So that's the system that they're using. So they have sometimes to rethink a little bit their process. That's why we organize workshop, being clear on where they want to go. What's your intent? Well, I want to make the most of my resource. I want to better interact with a group of internal or external subject matter experts. Very good. How do you manage internal versus external subject matter experts? Oh, this is different. So we know that we will have to adjust the portal. It's a SaaS software. It's a software as a service. So, all our 600 clients will have the exact same version, but the system is highly configurable, so we can configure. So quick start, 1 to 2 weeks to be deployed, or workshop methodology, more 8 to 12 weeks to be deployed. And in this case, we organize a workshop, and then obviously we support our client all along the relation that we have with them.
The whole life cycle then.
Yeah.
Is there a certain Stefan? Is there a certain level above which or below which training Orchestra makes sense or doesn't make sense? Do you have to manage so and so many classes before something like this is worth it? And if so, where do you see that level at?
That's a great question, because usually we count based on the number of classes of scheduled sessions. Now, behind the figures, the difference can be very important, because you could have a client saying, well, I manage 100 classes. So if you say 100 session, it's going to be 2 per week. So it's doable. You can still continue to do it in Excel spreadsheet and Outlook. If you have 2 sessions per week, 2 1-hour session per week, that's still manageable in Excel spreadsheet. Now, if ever you have those 100 classes or session, but it's 6-week classes organized on non-consecutive date, it may be more complex. So most of the time, our clients will have either full-time dedicated instructors. I would say more than 3, 4, 5. The largest clients that we have will have will train 2 million people per year. It's not that we manage the learner. They're in the LMS, but they organize a lot of sessions, a lot of classes. So we have no maximal limitation, but minimal limitation. Most of our clients will have more than 3, 4, 5 full-time dedicated instructors, or some other will have only subject matter experts and they have 0 full-time dedicated instructor, and they will manage a group of 30, 50 subject matter experts. But I would say on an average, the typical client will have something like 20 to 50 full-time instructor, and probably a group from 50 to 1,000 subject matter experts. It depends on the organization, but that's what we see. So we can have some very small clients. I'm thinking about the clients based in Jamaica right now, and they train only 250 people per year, or some very large clients, training more than 2 million people per year. So we can really support any, and we will have a business model to support any training organization.
Well, audience, if you fall into those categories and that you've got a lot of trainers, or at least 20 trainers, and some complexity to your schedule, and you probably heard a lot in that last couple of minutes. It sounded like you and the things that you have to worry about. We're running out of time, so maybe one last question. What do you think, Stefan, is the percentage of loss that an organization has by doing this with Excel and Outlook and various unintegrated systems? Or maybe another way to phrase that is, what kind of efficiency gain would they expect from using a training Orchestra versus the disparate approach? That's a hard question, but curious what you think.
No. We have precise answer. It's going to be something like 25% of the training investments. How do we measure that? It's pretty easy to measure that you move from 60% to 85% of resource use of your full-time dedicated instructors. So, if it's the goal, that's something we can help with. Second, controlling the training investment, managing the profitability of the training operation. So sometimes you need to cancel, to postpone. Sometimes it's going to be in one end that the team, the CFO and his team, they will manage the profitability, and they will have to manually inform and call and interact with the scheduler to ask them to postpone. So those people are usually the best asset of the organization on the top of the trainers, and they are spending time doing a lot of manual tasks, so it creates a lot of silos, a lack of reactivity. They cannot cancel on time, they cannot postpone on time, the clients are not aware, or the partners are not aware that has been. So it creates a lot of issues. And when you see the task list, you see that we can measure based on performance, so making the most of your resource, making the most of your budget, making the most of your time, but also finding the best available trainer. And it, John, when you have the best teacher, and when we were kids, having the best mathematics teacher, it makes absolutely the difference. So finding the best, always difficult to measure, but that's also what we help with, finding the best available trainer, and it makes also a big difference being trained by the best trainer. So on the long term, that's the way also to win the war on upskilling and reskilling the people, is to find the best available trainer. It's more difficult to measure but we know that it impacts the value significantly.
Great. Well, that's outstanding. So listeners, if you're running a training organization, you have a war of finding the best instructors. You worry about resource utilization. You worry about giving instructors the right tools to be able to succeed and maximize in utilization and driving financial measurements. If you're worried about going from ILT to virtual and then now to hybrid and managing all the complexities that come with that, well, then you're in the bucket that would probably find a lot of value in the Training Orchestra system and solution. And in that case, you should probably reach out to Training Orchestra. And the best way to do that, Stefan, is what?
Oh, very, very simple, so you can easily go onto our website, so trainingorchestra.com, and you will find the contact information here. So you can shoot us an email or contact Jennifer. We will be very reactive. We have a lot of assets for you. If ever you're launching an RFP, for example, we have RFP template. If ever you need to have a short 3 minutes video, you'll have it available. So a lot of resource available.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it, audience. You can also go to the Training Orchestra Living Profile on the www.talentedlearningcenter.com, and you can see more information. You can see Stefan explaining some other concepts, even some client stories there where you can continue to dig in and learn more about this solution. So thanks everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Executive Briefing Series. You can see why I love this series. You just can't help but get smart sitting on this and learning from the best in the world. And certainly learned a lot today about training resource management. Stefan, thank you. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you, John. Stay safe. Have a very good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.